Oh yeah, motherfuckers. Halloween is back.
Now let's cut this bitch open.
What is going on, YouTube? It is DJ here from Dead Jester Circus. And it's the moment that I've been waiting 6 months for. 6 months. Can't fucking talk.
Michael escaped.
We have to hunt him down.
I've been preparing for this night so I can kill him. Happy Halloween, Michael.
It's the moment I've been waiting 6 months for, ever since I saw the first footage at CinemaCon. You know, there's been a lot of hype surrounding this movie lately. You know, I'm guilty of it. I bought my ticket on the hype train long ago. As the months have been just ticking away, the hype has just swelled to immense proportions. And did it live up to the hype? Did it exceed expectations? I don't know. But for me, I thought it was good. I liked it. I'm not sure yet, though, if I love it. I think the reason as to why that is because I think I built it way too much up in my head of what I was expecting. And this is a movie that I really need to see a second time. I walked out not really, almost like in a limbo. Like, I know I liked it. I liked watching it. It was a good movie. But I wasn't sure if I was ready to just love it or if I just like it. Now, what I thought about the movie in general, it's probably the best Halloween since maybe the original Part 2. Part 4 was good though too. I mean, don't sleep on Part 4. That one was good.
I've waited for 40 years. He will be killed tonight.
Right off the bat, I like the scene with the investigative journalists that are doing the podcast, and they're going to Michael, and he's taunting him with the mask, trying to get him to speak. And for whatever reason in this movie, that seems to be all anybody wants Michael to do. They just want him to fucking say something. And then we cut to the opening credits, which, oh my god, I fucking love the opening credits. And we get back to the opening credits, traditional opening credits, like every Halloween movie should open up with. We get the jack-o'-lantern and we get the theme. Although I like what they did with the jack-o'-lantern this time around, because it was rotted and kind of fallen apart, and then it slowly goes like in reverse and kind of like reforms itself. We get into also some very heavy emotional stuff with Laurie in this movie, and I've seen reviewers that have slammed this movie saying it just feels like a cheap knockoff of H2O or an inferior version of Halloween H2O. And in that movie, we delved into Laurie's kind of trauma and psychosis ever since the events of the original, but I never really fully bought it from her in that movie. And that's part of the problems I have with that movie, is that she seems so well put together, and I understand she's, you know, it's a front and everything, and you see like she has pills and she has a drinking problem in the movie. Like I said, I never really bought it from her just because of the performance. In this movie, you could tell she's really fucked up. They touch upon the alcoholism and the paranoia of how she had her daughter taken away from her, and her family has estranged her because of this overwhelming fear, this paranoia that she has, and this obsession over Michael that they all just want to bury the past, and she just can't seem to let go. I think it was so masterfully done in this movie, and you really, really sympathize with Laurie more, I feel, in this version than what they tried to do in H2O, which felt like a very sort of PG-13 way of handling it. I really, really like James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers. There were some moments in this movie where I felt like you almost saw a little too much of his face, and that's something that, as a Myers fan, not seeing his face is part of his mystique, that it makes him less human. It removes the humanity when you don't see a face, and that's the whole point of the mask. You know, it's the blank face, it's the emotionless face. And there were moments in this where you catch some side glimpses, you catch some stuff in the background, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. They don't draw attention to any of it. You just kind of notice it, and God, I don't know how I feel about it. But Myers as a killer in this movie, oh my fucking god. I know Michael was brutal in Halloween 6. He was brutal in the Rob Zombie movies. I almost want to say this is somewhere in between those. He is just fucking relentless. He moves like a shark.
Michael Myers is a killer shark.
Yeah, fuck you, Busta Rhymes. He moves and kills one person, then immediately, bam, he kills him and doesn't even stop to linger on it. He kills him, bam, next person. And a perfect example of this is, we've seen the shots in the trailers that they released where he goes into the house and he kills the one lady with the hammer. And then, he goes right from there and walks next door and kills the lady in her house. As soon as he fucking knifes her in the throat, she just drops. He just walks. He just leaves and goes right on about his merry way. And I think there's something so eerie and creepy and most importantly inhuman about that. There is just no emotion, no motive behind his kills. He just kills and moves on, kills and moves on. And that's the essence of Michael in this movie. He is just, like I said, he's just relentless. And speaking of how relentless Michael is and the kills, there are some really good fucking kills in this movie. The shit that happens in the bathroom stall is really good. There's a scene with one of Allison's friends that's in a backyard, and there's motion lights. Lights are triggered off of motion. And there's a really cool fucking moment where Michael jumps out of the shadows in one of those and sets off the light with the motion detector. Ends up killing this kid on a fence, and the kid's head just gets impaled with the fucking wrought iron fence, like right through his mouth. One thing that happens in this movie, though, that I didn't expect is that Michael actually kills a kid. We've never seen him kill a little kid in a Halloween movie before at any time. I was like, holy shit, that shocked the hell out of me. I didn't think this movie would have the balls to do that, but it did. And you know what? Good on the movie. Fuck kids. And I cannot say enough about the score for this movie. John Carpenter, he's the master. He's the master. There's no question. He fucking knocked it out of the park with this score. It's probably the best Halloween score since 2. And not Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The original part 2. I love the scores for the first 2 Halloween movies. And I would put this one right up there with it. It is absolutely gorgeous. And it just oozes Halloween and oozes John Carpenter, and it helps elevate scenes in this movie. But there were some things that kept this movie from being perfect. And if I'm saying perfect, my level of perfection with Halloween is obviously the original. And there were things in this movie that it was either character decisions or some really bizarre moments that kind of detracted a little bit, because it made me, there were things that happened in this movie that I was like, what? Like, what the fuck just happened? What did I just see? And I think there's pacing issues in here, and maybe that's me. But it feels like this movie was really kind of chopped apart, because there's scenes in the trailer that aren't in this movie, and there are scenes that are in this movie that feel like they should be longer, and they just kind of cut them down. And if that's the case, I'm hoping later on when a DVD comes out, we get a director's cut that has the scenes that were omitted. Because like I said, it feels like there are gaps in this movie that are missing, and the pacing just felt really rushed. And I think that might be where a lot of my problem with this movie lies. It's not the story, it's not the characters. I feel like the pacing is just off. And I'll compare it to the original, where it was a very kind of slow build up. You kind of picture like a mountain, and it kind of slowly starts, and it starts building and building and building until it's, you reach the climax, you reach the apex of the mountain, and everything builds towards that point. This one feels like it builds, and then it kind of just plateaus, and then it just kind of really builds and spikes upwards. But once we get to the climax of this movie, it's fucking great. I love the climax of this movie. Climax piece, it sounds like blowing a load. I really love the ending of this movie. The last probably 20 minutes it is very tense, and for a Halloween fan like myself, I've seen it all with this series, and they still managed to make me feel very nervous and very tense at the end of this movie, and I fucking loved it. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. Like I said, I really liked the movie. Not sure if I loved it, but I'm gonna see it again, and I'll come back and give a final verdict later on and see where it fits in the pantheon of the rest of the Halloween franchise. That's it for today. Be sure to like and subscribe right below if you haven't done so already. If you like and subscribe, also hit the bell for the notifications. That way you can see when these videos pop up. But what else is there to say except Happy Halloween. Adios.